Well, the 2023 summer blockbuster season has come and gone, and overall, it could have been better. That's not to say every film was a tremendous failure, but this summer's successes are far outweighed by its flops. Now, looking at the lineup, you would assume that a lot of these movies would be hits. I mean, June alone had Transformers, Pixar, DreamWorks, Indiana Jones, and DC Comics with Michael Keaton reprising his role as Batman. These all sound like films that could break even in their sleep. But all of them just bombed at the box office. It's crazy. I mean, if Ruby Gillman can't save cinema, then I'm left with the very important question of who can. Oh, right. Forgot about that guy. Man, it must have sucked being a movie theater owner during that time.
I'm ruined. I have nothing left except Spider-Man.
Yeah, throughout all the flops in June, Across the Spider-Verse turned out to be the sleeper hit of the month, making back its budget and outgrossing the original film, even when adjusted for inflation. Its success could be for a number of reasons, but the reason the folks over at Disney's social media department seem to have latched onto is the memes. As shown by this embarrassing post promoting Elemental that was so bad that they ended up deleting it. This got me thinking, why memes exactly? Why not advertisements showing off accolades from critics and social media users to promote this underperforming film? Can memes actually help a film perform well in the box office? And on the other hand, can memes hinder a film's performance? You're watching the LionDog Show, and I'm looking at how internet culture can both help and hinder a film's success. A good place to start would be looking at films that did perform well and looking at their internet footprint. Three of the best examples of recent successes would be Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. All three of these have two aspects in common. First of all, they were all beloved by the general audience and garnered excellent word of mouth because of it. But more important in this case, all three were based on franchises that are popular with the crowds that are often online. Those being millennials and Gen Z due to nostalgia and memes spawned from earlier entries. Both of these attributes led to an uprise in memes based on these movies. Now, just because a movie is memed doesn't guarantee people will go see that film, as we'll discuss in due time. But the memes that originated from these three movies did a great job promoting them through how specific they were. A lot of the memes that came from these movies center around specific scenes, plot points, and character traits rather than just the movie itself. Because of this, most of these memes could only be understood if you've seen the movie. They, in a way, became secret codes that wouldn't make sense to outsiders. That's where the genius comes into play. The memes helped create a fear of missing out on the hype surrounding the film. One advantage that these films had was, unlike some movies that become popular in meme culture long after their release, these films were viral sensations while they were still in theaters, allowing them to capitalize on this free publicity when a film is at its most profitable. Imagine being on social media and you haven't seen any of these films. You're scrolling through your timeline and you come across a ton of memes that make almost no sense. Why is this whistle so scary? Why is this turtle singing about fruit? Why does throwing a bagel at someone turn them into a supervillain? Seeing all these memes everywhere you go eventually convinces you to see one of these movies. In the extremely likely chance that you like the film, you join in on the inside jokes, sharing those memes with others, maybe even creating new memes that catch an outsider's eye, and the cycle continues until the film finishes its theatrical run. I speak from experience on this. I was interested in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but it wasn't high on my priorities at the time. However, once all the online buzz started with people gushing about the film, posting memes, and outright spoiling the movie, thank you, I felt like I was left out on all the fun. So I went out to see the movie, and would you believe it? I loved it. These memes might also tempt repeat viewings, as seeing the movie all over social media for weeks on end could keep the film fresh in your mind, reminding you how much you enjoyed it and how hard it might be to wait for it to surface on Netflix. Whether you saw it day one or never heard of the film, the memes were effective marketing tools that didn't cost the studios a cent. While the memes involving those three movies only impacted the internet for the most part, some memes involving movies turn into real-life movements that make the rest of the world take notice. In July 2022, there was the Gentle Minion trend on TikTok, where teens and young adults went to see Minions: The Rise of Gru in suits. Yet another meme based on a franchise the internet grew up enjoying. And it most likely played a role in that film reaching nearly $1 billion in the box office. Now, on the subject of movie memes that took on a whole new life of their own, we of course need to address the pink sparkly explosion in the room. I wasn't planning on mentioning this since there are plenty of videos out there discussing the Barbenheimer phenomenon, but I felt like I needed to at least acknowledge it due to the video's subject matter. While Barbie was almost guaranteed success due to its brand recognition and marketing campaign that could put Illumination to shame, the memes uniting Barbie and Oppenheimer allowed the latter to find an audience who normally wouldn't show up to see an R-rated historical drama, with the film grossing $80 million in its opening weekend, beating Christopher Nolan's previous World War II film Dunkirk's $50 million, or around $62 million in 2023 money, and making double its budget within a week of its release, something a lot of movies this past summer could only dream of accomplishing. So we've seen positive examples of memes serving as free publicity for movies, but what about the opposite? How about we start off with the genesis of this video, Claude. Easily the most desperate attempt at viral marketing I have ever seen.
An act of God or an act of Claude?
The first red flag is that it's a corporation trying to force a meme. That never works. People can see right through that. Secondly, a TikTok meme. Really? That's the cherry on top of the How Do You Do Fellow Kids Sunday now serving at Dairy Queen. What's next? DreamWorks using Barbenheimer memes to promote Ruby Gillman Teenage Crack. Okay, I guess the wrong movie, but still that is creepy. As if the concept alone wasn't bad enough, Claude is just a bad meme. Claude is what I'd like to refer to as a meme MacGuffin, because similar to how MacGuffins are plot devices that have no discernible traits outside of being something that the characters want, Claude has no discernible traits outside of supposedly being funny. There's nothing special about Claude. He's just a side character in a Pixar movie. Nothing that would draw attention to him if not for this forced meme. Yet apparently, according to this video, he warrants an audience reaction usually reserved for when a legacy character makes a cameo. It's nothing like the meme surrounding Jack Horner's horribleness, Bowser's crush on Peach, or Miguel's belief on how the multiverse should operate. If you took any of these comments and replaced Claude with someone like, I don't know, Chuck Norris, or Big Chungus, the joke doesn't change at all unless it's a pun. What do you need to know about Claude to laugh at the meme? I don't know. He's so cool. That's it. No need to see Elemental in theaters June 16th. In the end, the meme did very little to get people interested in the movie, and only showed just how desperate Disney was to get people excited for the film. Of course, if we're talking about viral marketing gone south, I would be a fool not to mention Morpheus. From April to June of 2022, you couldn't go 2 refreshes on social media without seeing something relating to the new Marvelician, Dr. Michael Morpheus, and his $10 more billion that he made in the box office. Morpheus felt like a movie no one cared to see. No one grew up on Morpheus, and it didn't look creative, well-made, or at the very least entertaining. But it seemed like the memes were what it took to get this film into the mainstream. Personally, I think the Morpheus meme blew up due to repetition and timing. I remember people going to theaters right after they reopened and complaining that they kept getting the trailers for both Morbius and Top Gun Maverick before every movie they saw due to the film's infinite delays, the duality of critical and financial performance. The repeating trailer kept the film fresh in the audience minds, so when the film finally released on April Fool's Day no less, the internet ran with this film, posting memes about how it had the highest score on Rotten Tomatoes and how it became the highest grossing film of all time within seconds. Because of how widespread the memes became, you might be surprised to find out that the film actually flopped. That was because the memes didn't make people want to see the movie. The joke didn't stem from any plot points, characters, or scenes. The movie was the joke. You didn't need to see the movie in order to get in on the joke. All you had to do was laugh at a bad film failing. Unlike Claude, who felt like a lazy attempt to market an underperforming movie to the internet crowd, Sony wasn't trying to be self-aware at first. They were merely acting like this soulless comic book movie was going to be the next big thing. In a way, they were right. And when they realized this, it only got worse. When Sony tried to re-release the movie later in June of that year, it failed because they didn't understand that the then popular It's Morbid Time meme played on the fact that no one saw the movie. Sony couldn't understand that the Morbius of the imagination will always be more entertaining than the actual Morbius. If that weren't the case, the film wouldn't have bombed in the first place. Then there was that stupid tweet with Jared Leto, which was just embarrassing. It's like they were trying to laugh with the internet, not realizing that the internet was laughing at them. I don't blame Sony for trying any of this. If you had a failed movie on your hands, you'd try to recoup that investment in any way you could. But overall, this was definitely a scenario where using memes to promote a film ended up making matters worse. Now that we've looked at the ways internet culture can affect a film's performance, what are some things that companies should learn from these examples? To start off, never force a meme. As I've stated, people can tell when a company is trying to force a meme, and they will see it as desperate. This point makes me nervous since due to the success of Barbie and Oppenheimer, I bet a lot of studios will try to manufacture another odd pair of movie releases when it's likely that the phenomenon was a flash in the pan. I doubt Saw Patrol will be even half as big. Second, I'd say take your time. A lot of the positive examples that I've mentioned come from pre-established franchises with built-in fan bases, while both of the negative examples come from new franchises. That's not to say that an original movie can't become a viral sensation, but you're going to have to work a lot harder to spark that interest. That brings me to my next point. Healthy meme growth is only as strong as the media that inspires it. A lot of these memes were created out of love. They're how internet users share their passion for something in their own unique creative way. And that passion comes out for something that truly warrants it. This isn't me knocking movies like Elemental or Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. I haven't seen either as of me writing this video. They could be perfectly solid movies, but it is hard to honestly say that this or this is more compelling and awe-inspiring than this. Next, know when to get involved and when you might be taking things too far. We learned from Morpheus that companies shouldn't always get involved in their memes, as it could potentially make them look pathetic due to them not understanding the intent. But even when companies know when to get in on the joke, too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing. When Marvel referenced the Spider-Man pointing meme in the post-credit scene of Into the Spider-Verse, it was cool to see them acknowledge the fans in that way. But then they did it again in No Way Home. And again in Across the Spider-Verse. They've referenced it so many times that it's no longer a welcomed surprise. It's just what's expected at this point. A seasoning of referential humor is good, but if you overdo it, you could risk tarnishing what made the humor so special in the first place. Finally, and somewhat ironically, don't rely on memes. It might give a few of you a heart attack, but there is more to communication than the internet. I understand why studios focus on social media responses to current releases, as it's an easy way to see what part of your audience is saying, but not everyone in the studio's demographics is online. You don't need to be online to find out about a film. It might surprise you to hear, but within their first 5 weeks, Elemental made slightly more money domestically than Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Granted, there are differences in when in the year each film released and brand recognition, but it's still worth noting. The online discussion on Elemental wasn't as unanimously positive as The Last Wish, and I highly doubt Claude drove people to reserve a ticket. So how did Elemental perform better than Puss in Boots? Well, it's possible that more than the internet users, families were spreading the word. You know, the main demographic of a Pixar film. Maybe during a family barbecue, Frank told Walter about taking the family to see Elemental, and that encouraged Walter to take his family to see it. Maybe Timmy got a Wade toy in his Happy Meal, and that convinced his family to check out the film. Who knows? Ultimately, companies seem to focus on making a good film and promoting it to the best of their abilities, and the audience will do the rest. If it's great, the word of mouth will spread, and the memes will be shared. So DreamWorks, instead of relying on memes to promote Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, how about you actually promote Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken so that people will go out and see Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, because a movie with the title Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken should not be performed this badly! You've been watching The LionDog Show. Have a great day and stick around for more.